In this edition of Global Print today, I will talk to you about the India-Bangladesh relationship, about the Joint Consultative Commission meeting that has taken place virtually between the two sides, between the two foreign ministers, S. Jaishankar and A.K. Abdul Momen. But before I tell you about the significance or the importance of this meeting, I'd like to make an appeal to you, dear viewers. Please do subscribe to The Print. You know that we are not behind a paywall. You know that every democracy needs a free, fair, objective, non-partisan and fiercely independent media. And that's what we are at The Print. We bring to you the best of our news stories, the best videos. So please do subscribe to us, have faith in us, and we will never let you down. So coming back to the India-Bangladesh relationship and the importance of this Joint Consultative Commission meeting. Now, there are three reasons why this meeting is so important. The first is that the India-Bangladesh relationship has not been going so well. So let me start at the very beginning. A couple of years ago, Home Minister Amit Shah was campaigning in an election in West Bengal, and he talked about illegal immigration, migrants from Bangladesh into India, and he used a pejorative word. He said, "Ye dibak hai," and we will throw them out into the Bay of Bengal. Again in 2019 at another election meeting, in fact this was when he was campaigning for the Lok Sabha elections in April 2019, he again used very harsh language, so calling them dimak or termites, and that went down very, very badly in Bangladesh, as you can imagine. The political leadership, Sheikh Hasina's government, in her party, the Awami League, people were deeply upset because there has been a very, very old bond between India and Bangladesh since 1971, as we all know. The country was created, broke away from Pakistan, was created a brand new country with India's help. And now for somebody as senior as a Home Minister, and that too a confidant of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to call these illegal immigrants or migrants dimak didn't go down well at all. So a year and a half later, the Foreign Minister, External Affairs Minister, Mr. Jaishankar, in his meeting with the Bangladeshi Foreign Minister, Mr. Abdul Momen, is trying to restore the vibrancy of this relationship. In a sense, of course, he's not going to apologize because this is his colleague in the cabinet, but without apologizing, I think he's trying to say sorry and trying to say that these things happen in the rhetoric and the heat and dust of an election, and this is not what the Home Minister or anybody else who used any such strong language would have meant. So in a sense, he's reaching out to the Bangladeshis and saying to them that let bygones be bygones, let's close this matter and move on. And I'm sure, in fact, that Mr. Abdul Momen will respond positively to this gesture by the External Affairs Minister, because there is no question the India-Bangladesh relationship is very, very important to both countries. So that's the first point. Now, the second point is that in this meeting, the External Affairs Minister, Mr. Jaishankar, has also pointed out to the joys of connectivity between the two neighbours. Again, to give you some background, in 1965, when the war between India and Pakistan took place, and at the time Bangladesh was very much part of Pakistan, it was East Pakistan, there were several rail links that connected Bengal to East Pakistan, other parts of India to East Pakistan, and those were snapped in the bitterness of the aftermath of the war that Pakistan lost. In the last few years, even under the Manmohan Singh government and certainly now under the Modi government, there has been an attempt to revive those rail links. 6 of those old rail links which had fallen into disuse have been, 4 of those 6 have been revived under the last 6 years of the Modi government, and another 3 are being worked upon. 3 new rail links are now being worked upon, being developed, created, and those are expected to be ready by next year, 2021. So Mr. Jaishankar telling Mr. Momen about how the two countries have no option but to live together. We're both neighbours. We've been forged in a bond of blood, of memory, of history, and the future belongs to both nations. So once the corona pandemic subsides, things get much better. An air bubble that is likely to be created very soon, in fact, between the two countries, is not just going to have flights between Delhi and Dhaka or Kolkata and Dhaka, but also flights from Bangladesh, from the various airports, including Chittagong, to various other cities in India, like Chennai, and Bangalore, and various other parts, Hyderabad. The argument being that the India-Bangladesh relationship is not just limited to West Bengal or to Bangladesh, that it's a much bigger one, that people from Chennai, from Hyderabad, from other parts of the south should travel and work in Bangladesh. I believe a lot of people in the IT sector in the Bangladesh already have a lot of Indians working for them. And similarly, the Bangladeshis, which are world leaders in the garment and textile sector, can access India's textile manufacturing in Tirupur, in Tamil Nadu. So the message that Jaishankar is sending his Bangladeshi counterpart, Abdul Momen, is, let's bury those awful remarks by Home Minister Amit Shah a couple of years ago. The remarks in which he described Bangladeshi migrants as dimak, as termites. Let's bury them. Let's achieve closure. Let's move on. The future is ours. It belongs to India and Bangladesh. And let's separate this illegal migration from legal migrants. The legal migrants are the ones that get jobs in each other's countries, that they take visas and they travel across the border. The illegal migrants are those that don't need visas. They just cross over, whether for economic reasons or otherwise. So let's separate that. Mr. Jaishankar has also argued that India will do all it can to help the Bangladeshis, not just in terms of connectivity, but there are several other projects on the anvil, including an oil refinery. There is a river waters crisis that's constantly been, for the last 20-25 years, some amount of unhappiness, if you like, between the two countries over the sharing of river waters. Then in 1996, when Sheikh Hasina was Prime Minister last time around, there was a Ganga River Waters Accord. Now there's talk of the Brahmaputra as well as the Ganga to be joined, to be interlinked, to be joined together so that both countries can share their waters. So this positive spin that the External Affairs Minister wants to bring, or has brought, in this virtual meeting with his Bangladeshi counterpart, is an attempt to tell him that you must forget about the commentary that he and that other people have heard from Home Minister Amit Shah, and that actually that the glass is half full in the India-Bangladesh relationship. And the third reason I argue in my column in Global Print today why this relationship is so important is, again, not just because Bangladesh is one of India's neighbours, and we've already talked about how it's a neighbour that has been forged, and a relationship that was forged in blood and in history, but also because we see in India's neighbourhood policy today that things are not going so well with several other neighbours. Pakistan, the relationship is absolutely at a minimum. With Nepal, ties are fragile. With Sri Lanka, both Prime Minister and the Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa have had some very good conversations recently. But India would like the India-Bangladesh relationship to be a model for the rest of South Asia. We know that Prime Minister Narendra Modi would very much like to go to Dhaka at the end of this year to participate in Muji Borsho. That's the birth centenary celebrations of Bangladesh's father of the nation, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. We also know that Bangabandhu was massacred in a midnight coup on the 15th of August 1975, yes, on India's Independence Day, but also barely 4 years after Bangladesh itself got independence. Now, this midnight massacre is also the stuff of history. Not just him. Sheikh Hasina's entire family was massacred that night. She herself was saved because she and her husband and her younger sister Rehana were abroad at the time. But everyone else in that house in Dhanmondi, in Dhaka, Sheikh Hasina's father, her mother, her brothers, all their wives, her younger brother, even her teenage younger brother Russell, each of them was brutally killed. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi is sending this message through his Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar to Mr. Abdul Momen, the Bangladeshi Foreign Minister, and to Sheikh Hasina, that India will always stand by Bangladesh, that we have a bond that cannot be replicated by any other country, a very, very special relationship, and India will always stand by this relationship and do everything in its capacity to help Bangladesh if such help were ever needed. This is Jyoti Malhotra. Please continue to watch our YouTube channel, subscribe to us, read my column, Global Print, and let us know what you think. We always have lots of news and stories for you.